Right, over the ditch, we are back for another week. I'm in downtown Chinchilla, so there's a little bit of an echo, but Matty Markham, hello, mate.
Hello, mate. How are we?
I'm good. Sorry?
I'll just sort my speaker out, don't worry.
We don't do scripts. We write them off the cuff. We try to be professional, but also lighthearted, if you like, and going from there. Massive weekend of racing, both sides of the ditch, with a lot of things playing out with the New Zealand Cup and that whole Cup carnival.
Yeah, a massive week for what I've seen. Oh, there we go. We're back. Just disappeared for a minute. The best card I've seen on a Friday night at Addington Raceway for a very, very long time. From start to finish, even the undercard was good. The Harness Million races were what we'd expected them to be. Obviously, the Canterbury Park Trotting Cup, we saw the 2-year-olds go around, the 3-year-olds for the Group 1. The Flying Stakes was a fantastic race as well. So things are really starting to heat up, I guess, as we build. What are we now? 4 weeks away. Yeah, 4 weeks out from Cup Week. And the cool thing is, Paul, we've still got Ashburton's Magic Monday, which includes the Trotters Flying Sprint, the Ashburton Flying Stakes, which is traditionally the lead-up race for the New Zealand Trotting Cup. There's a great mares race and a couple of other great races on the undercard. And then a week later, it's off to Kaikoura for arguably the most iconic harness racing meeting in this part of the world. So there's a lot still to look forward to and a lot to dissect from the week that's just been.
I was talking to Adam Hamilton, not name dropping. He was at Melton on Saturday night. He's never been. I can't believe he has never been there. I was explaining it to him and he can't wait. I said to him, you're going to meet a lot of Smiths. And he sort of half looked at me a bit funny. I said, well, it's a home of the Smiths, so you're going to see a lot of royalty there, that's for sure. But he's super excited about being there as well.
Oh, it's a must-attend event. I had a lot of fun years when I was working for Harness Racing New Zealand and the Christchurch Press here in Canterbury, travelling up. Man, used to be a group of us, Richard Bromley, Greg O'Connor, Mark McNamara, myself used to head up. And we were under the hosting rights of the late, great Bob Rockford, who used to try and spin a few yarns on us and put us into a few curly situations before the race meeting. But an incredibly generous and kind club who, if you were going to give some time to them, they were more than happy to help you out. And it's a great spectacle as a race day. And most people have seen it. They will have seen Kaikoura Cups from years gone by. Like, it actually looks like the horses are running on the beach as they go down the back straight. All the caravans and tents and people perched up in the infield and the big crowd up on the hill behind them. It's one of those bucket list events if you're a harness racing enthusiast from anywhere in the world that you've got to get to, and might as well tack it in and stick on for another week, because what we're going to get at Addington on the second week in November is going to be probably something like we have not seen there for a very, very long time.
We will touch on the races that have been, but I will say, I was just thinking when you were saying then, I think it was my first race meeting that I probably did covering New Zealand harness racing was Kaikoura, as far as a harness racing meeting goes. Didn't know hardly any Kiwis. I remember interviewing Matty Williamson at the 200-metre mark while there was a race going on and going around. Invited into just about every tent walking along. It was just phenomenal, the hospitality. Everyone said to me, you go up onto the hill. You've got to go up onto the hill, but, oh, geez, you regret it if you're half fit. That's for sure as well. And it's just a phenomenal day. And as you said, typical of most Kiwi people, I'm not saying this because this is over the ditch, so inviting, so welcoming, and so much fun.
Yep, that's pretty much the way we like to live life most of the time, Paul. And you get quality harness racing there too. You've got the South Bay Trotters Cup. I mean, I remember going 2 years in a row when Ike and Doozit won it. He used to go there and make that his annual trip to the seaside. The Kaikoura Cup's a race steeped in history. Some fantastic horses have won that over the years, and there's that $50,000 aged pace as well, which is always a great race on the card. I think it was won last year by Jimmy James Maguire off the top of my head. There's all the stuff off the track and all the prestige and the uniqueness and the views and everything, but the action on the track's actually just as good as anything as well. So it all adds and makes to this incredible this experience that you must experience.
Yeah, totally agree. Trying to think who won it. I think Akuta won it the year I went, but I remember interviewing Anna Donnelly. She had a horse that went super.
Kango.
It was it? But that wasn't in the. Was it the Kaikoura
Yeah,
Cup?
he was. I think was it last year that you were there?
No, 2 years ago must have been.
Because Olivia Thornley won on Akuta
last year. So yes, it was Kango that won 2 years prior.
Kango won it. Yeah.
David Butcher.
That's the one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So no news, not good news for him. And Sarah O'Reilly, I just saw that on the news article too, which is sad for both drivers. A bit more of a prolonged out.
Yeah, Benjamin, David's son. A shoulder injury and a bit of a concussion problem for him. He looks like he's likely to be back on the track earlier than what Sarah O'Reilly is, though, which is really gunning for Sarah. She's obviously been out since the start of July, as it is, so we're 4 months. And she's at least looking at another. Sorry, I had to do some counting there in my head. At least looking on another 3 months on the sideline, which means she's going to miss the busiest time of the year, the most profitable time of the year, and the time of the year where she's generally most successful, which is that grass track racing scene. Because while it's 3 months, it's only 3 months until they get to the point where they make a decision on whether they actually may have to operate on her arm or what the next steps are. So there's going to be an even longer recovery period after that. So it's real sad news for Sarah, obviously. Her first season breaking out of the junior ranks, and she was flying along pretty nicely, thank you very much. And then for this to happen and have to spend a bit of time on the sideline. But I guess the good thing is that if she puts in the patient game now and lets it heal and gets it right back to strong, then she's not going to have problems with it down the track, touch wood. So, won't be the same going on that summer racing circuit and not seeing the little one out there winning races and smiling away.
And having fun and being cheeky. And
yeah.
If I'm there, she takes me camera, takes photos of people, and then I spend all my time removing those photos off my feed because everyone says take that one down, take that one down, and I was like, learnt a lesson there. Don't always trust what says take photos of.
Yeah, well, I think it was her and Kimberly Butt with a combination. Well, yeah, you made a bad decision there because they are trouble with a capital T when you put those two together.
It's okay. Right, let's start at Addington. We're not going to go through every race as hard as what we normally do because there's a couple of races we'll probably do a bit of a deep dive on too. But it started off with a bang. Midnight Mickey, for Mark Purd and Blair Owen started off a great night for both of those guys. But a great way to start the card.
Yeah, it was, and a good competitive race. Look, they're probably just a level below the better 2-year-olds who we're going to talk about a bit later on, I'm sure. But great move by HRNZ and Addington here because they sort of were in a bit of a problem where they had a lot of horses for those main races and they created some spillover races for them so that they still got the chance to race, which was fantastic. And this was one of those races. Midnight Mickey had shown his last start how good he was. And he had to be good to win on Friday night too because he wasn't going to win at 100 metres off the post, but he flattened out beautifully. And typical Blair, timed it to perfection and got his nose in front right on the line to beat a pretty nice horse in Sakatars, who has done a very good job for Tom Bagri. And Strikeham's going to be a horse that's going to drop into a maiden at some point soon for Mark Jones and just win.
Yeah, nice little way to start the night. The second race, Renegade. This is a horse that you've been high on for a while. I'll just be interested in your thoughts on this race because he did look like he had it at his mercy and they get pretty close to him on the line.
I think that's more him knocking off than anything, Paul. Yep. I wouldn't read too much into that. He is a fantastic follower of speed too, Renegade. Yep. He would not have been out of place in that Group 1 later on in the night. In fact, I think with the right trip, he would have run top 4. He is a very, very serious racehorse, and he's only going to keep getting better and better. John Morrison, good drive from him. He got in front of him early with Munro's mate, and Ricky came off and took the lead off him, so he got the beautiful trip. Frisco Bay was really good for Ray Green. And we're going to talk about another one of Ray Green's probably a bit later on that was very impressive as well. So he will work his way to the Derby, Renegade, and I think he is the sort of horse that could pop up and give them a bit of a fright with the right kind of trip.
It was a battle of the Gold Hats. The Gold Hats last week, I don't know if you ever noticed it. I noticed it as much. Well, there's been some battles. We'll touch on a couple of the races where Matty Williamson won out down south as well. But I think there was one race down south. There's 4 gold hats. I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. But a lot of close finishes. Unfortunately for Johnny, I think Ricky's come out on top on most of those. Just little close battles for him. But Johnny's going terrific as well.
Yeah, he is. There is only one gold cap owner, and that is the RT May, the original. The others are just shadows following him along behind, and I'm sure neither Matty nor John will mind me saying that because they both looked up to Ricky for a very long time. And how good is the little man going in the sulky at the moment? I had a count up since the middle of September, so in the space of a month, he's driven 15 winners in 4 weeks, Ricky May.
Wow.
Like fine wine, getting better with age. He keeps telling me that he's going to retire soon, but at the rate he's going at the moment, there's no way he's retiring. He's up to 45 wins for the season, which puts him in the top 10 drivers in the country. It's Ricky May, so you kind of expect him to be winning races, but ever since his medical event a few years ago at Omacare, it's been slow and steady for Rick, but he's just gone absolutely gangbusters in the last month. And when he got 3 at Oamaru on Sunday again after getting 3 at Timaru the week before, 2 weeks before, and then another 3 at Oamaru earlier on in September. So he is driving as good as I've seen him for a while, Ricky, and he's got some nice horse flesh around him too, which is always good to have.
That's what I was going to say. The horses that he is driving, they're in good races, and they're like renegades. They got better races coming up too, which is so exciting for us, for the industry as well, because he's one of those names we want to win it. It's like the Butchers, the Purdens. We want them all winning because people know them. It's the easiest way to sell a sport.
Well, and I mean, from a completely selfish point of view, me writing harness racing news here in mid-Canterbury, I've got more chance of people picking up a paper if they see Ricky May's face in it because they know him, they can associate with him. They might have been at the Meth and Trots. They might not be racing people, but they were at the Meth and Trots one day and they put $1 each way on Ricky and he won. And he paid $1.50 and $1.20 and they made 70 cents. And for that reason, he's their hero. So, there's that kind of association to the wider community and the wider public that I think we lose that a little bit sometimes. And one thing that I think New Zealand's become really bad at is we do not celebrate the James McDonalds and the Dexter Dunns as much as we should. 2 Kiwi lads who are doing it on the international stage are doing it so bloody well. We're in a game full of personalities and we've got some incredibly well marketable people there on both sides of the Tasman that we should be utilising more, the Zach Butchers, the Cam Harts, those sort of people that we need to be sort of pushing up into spotlights and trying to get this wider public to engage with them and become familiar with them.
Yeah, and I think the trainers need to take a step up there as well. It's the responsibility as much for the trainers to put their name out there. We've got a huge issue here in Australia. I'll happily put my name up that most of our leading trainers don't like media. Well, guess what? We've got to change that because otherwise we're in trouble. So they've got to be aware of it. But yeah, some of those names you rattled off are right. Ricky May is, not Ricky May, Dexter Dunn's a leading money earner in the US. Celebrate it. He's, these guys, Scott Ferron and those guys are money men. He's out driving them for money earnings for the year again. It's not the first time he's done it. Won't be the last.
Always had an eye for a horse, Dex, and I reckon that's what probably helps him over there because he gets behind some of these horses early on in their careers and knows. You talk of some of the horses that he's had over the last 2 years, and just incidentally, I saw a post just before saying that Jiggy Jog had been retired through injury. So that's, one of the best horses he's driven this year. Beautiful, beautiful horse. But yeah, Dex always had that knack. And he could tell you from a pretty early on stage where a horse sat and what he felt of it and where it was going to get to without being too 100% correct. But, yeah, those good horse people know. And we just need to be pushing not their agenda, but their story a lot more because I think there's a lot of scope there. You're talking to trainers. I think we've become really lucky here in New Zealand in the last 6 weeks to 2 months with what Entane and Trackside are doing around Friday Night Lights, which means that we've got someone in the stable at Addington that is talking to a trainer before every race. So we're seeing them on our screens and you get to know who Regan Todd is, you get to know who John Morrison is, Hayden Cullen, etc., etc., etc. And then on a Sundays when they have the Sunday session, they've got a presenter on course who's doing the same thing. And all of a sudden we've got Dean Stapleton, who's the son of Warren Stapleton, talking about Wild Willow winning the Oamaru Cup. We've got Lionel Dobbs' family talking about him as he drives his first winner. You've got both ends of the spectrum, and you're getting them out there for people to get to see.
No, absolutely. You've taken away two of our lights, our conversations later on Oamaru, but that's okay. We will be highlighting those and a couple of others very, very quickly. But we have to, and the industry has to grow it. So we need to be aware of it. Right, 2-year-old trotters over the journey, probably the most riskiest bet you could have in racing. And I think we've successfully, started to change that. I'm going to put on show two horses that will do your head in as a punter, I would imagine. They're exciting, but they are still that risky little trotter, if you like, in Meant to Be and Higher Power. They're beautiful trotters, both these, Maddie, but they are risky, but they're exciting as well.
Yeah, they're just babies learning about the game more than anything, I think, Paul. And there's no doubting they've both got immense amounts of ability. I think this one sort of determined just who the better of the pair is. And I know that there's kind of been an inkling from the Purden Phelan stable that Meant to Be's been the better one. To put his performance into context, I had a look up on the Ultimate Racebook / Stridemaster that we use over here. So that's the little GPS tracker that sits on the top of the horse saddle number to give us their sectionals. His last mile Meant to Be was 3 seconds quicker than anything else in the race. Wow. He came from last, mooched around, sat parked, and he was a long way off them early on when they got to the mile. So that probably didn't surprise me so much. But the fact that if it wasn't 3, it was close to 3 seconds quicker than anyone else for a last mile. So he's a pretty serious horse, and he'll just keep getting better as he learns what the game's about. He's obviously on the unruly at the moment, which means that he's going to be back in the field. They'll sort him out, and he's going to round into a beautiful trotter. He actually looks like he'll be an even better horse in 12 months' time.
He looks like a 3-year-old, doesn't he? He actually looks like a 3-year-old now, and he just needs to have 3-year-old next to his name instead of 2-year-old.
Yeah, well, and I guess in the old he would be 3 by now. He would be a 3-year-old. And I know that Barry and Scott use that analogy anyway around their stables. They don't treat those horses that have just turned 3 in the old as 2-year-olds still. They treat them as 3-year-olds, which is why we saw Cole Chisel line up in the Homestead G a couple of weeks ago as a 3-year-old. Barry said he's a 4-year-old at home. Yeah.
Well, they had a 2-year-old winner at Auckland again, beating the older horses, I think, on Friday night, just gone as well. So, yeah. The Beaten Brigade, right, Dale, was terrific, super professional. Possibly, these other two just got the wood on her at the minute.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously there's an even better 2-year-old trotter floating around by the name of Habibti Pat. Who's still to join the big circus, I guess you could say. So putting it up against Meant to Be, Higher Power, and you're right, Dale, is going to make for some interesting 2-year-old racing as the year carries on.
First starter, Adina, beautifully bred, got it wrong.
Yeah, she's a full sister to Muscle Mountain. But yeah, looked like she just panicked when the mobile went to go, and it was a terminal gallop pretty much from the outset. So yeah, keep her for another day because she does have a decent motor on her.
We'll say the 2-year-old filly Carla Pixie actually won at Ararat, the last race at Ararat on Sunday just gone, bred by the Hopes, of course, by Carlton, and got another win on the board here in Australia. So yeah, just a nice little side note to that as well. So
24-25 stallion roster for Harasta Trotters is out, headed up by EL Titan, winner, leaving a heap of winners in America, standing for $4,000. He is chilled. We also have Always Ready, eligible here in Victoria. Used to Me, quality sire of 3 Group 1 winners, and the value price there is $17.50. There are discounts on all 3 of those horses if you pay early. We also have Classic Connection for $3,500. Again, standing in Queensland, this horse is, and important for the New Zealand people. This horse is frozen semen, actually will mean that those horses are Q-bred. So you've got a whole new market to sell to with them being Q-bred eligible. So make sure you get in touch with the team there. And for my New Zealand friends, On a Streak will be in person, staying at Waihee Farm in conjunction with Harasta Trotters for the value price of $3,500. Breeders' Crown winner. Breeders' Crowns are on now. Frozen size 2, you can see there, back of the neck, not available in New Zealand, but Ekeri D and Orlando Vici, the 100% producer and of course sire of champion horse, Just Believe. Get in touch with the team at harastatrotters.com.au. That is harastatrotters.com.au.
Still rocking. Robbie Holmes. It was a good aggressive drive and got the chockies.
He's a nice Southland pace in this one from the Ricky Gutsall stable. Ricky trains down at Wyndham, which is where Craig Ferguson is obviously based, just for a bit of context. This horse has always had a big motor, but he's had a bit of a bag of tricks as well. And Robbie drove him aggressively, and he held them off. He'll head to Show Day, where they have what's known as the south of the Waitaki race. So in order to be eligible for that, you need to be trained south of the Waitaki River, which is about halfway down the South Island. It sort of splits Otago and Canterbury. So it's for horses that are trained on the other side of that river. They have, I think it's a $25,000 or a $30,000 race for them on Show Day every year, which is great because it brings the Southerners up. It gets them interested, and it's always a very, very keenly contested race too.
Throw you under the bus. Who won it last year?
Oh, jeepers.
It was a good story.
I think I can tell you what ran third.
Doesn't matter. I met Ricky on the summer circuit. He's a character. He's a good bit of fun. He wasn't happy with me because I think he wanted to get to the bar and have a bit of fun, but he's a bit of a character.
Yeah, he is. And he does a good job with his horses. That's going to annoy me, so I'm going to have to look that race up. He does a really good job with his horses and has a very good strike rate. So, yeah, he's got a couple of other horses in such. The Twist has done a really good job for him recently too. So, yeah, keep an eye on his team because they generally grow another league once they get onto the grass tracks.
While you're doing that, while you're looking that horse up, Stride Master. Now, Warlock. I watch Warlock. If you watch Warlock in its entirety, you say, it didn't really find the line. Last two quarters were identical. It just couldn't go any quicker. Like, it actually looks like the horse is getting tired. You go and look at Stride Master, and I think it was 28.4 and 28.3. Like, you're splitting hairs the last, that last fraction. The horse was terrific. Like
he was.
That's where it is so good. If you're a punter, you'd say, it didn't find the line. He found the line. He just found one better than him.
Yeah, that would be a fair assessment. You'd love a stable full of horses like old Warlock, and we're going to see him in racing soon because we've got one thing coming into play very shortly that is going to make a huge difference to him, and that's the Manawatu circuit. Yep. Michael House is building towards that Manawatu circuit already. So he's got a huge team of horses around him, and old Warlock will be up there if they can find the right race for him. I've got no doubts about that. So keep an eye out for him because he will win a race at pretty short notice. He was heavily backed on Friday night too. They really, really came for him late and nearly pulled off for them too. But yeah, he's a fantastic horse.
Have you found it yet?
No, I had to go through a different avenue to find it because the horse that I thought it was, I was wrong. But I've just found it. I've just come to that result now. My computer's a bit slow. But I think it's probably about the 5th or 6th year that they've held that south of the Waitaki race. And it's always been a really popular. I remember Teddy Baker winning it a couple of years ago for Tyler Dew and Rory McIlroy. This is really going to annoy me now because the horse that won it last year was a horse called Mr. Cashman, trained by Nathan Williamson. And why that really annoys me is because he's in the stable at John Morrison's and I see him every bloody morning. He beat a nice horse called Rise Up and Dance. Ain't No Angel was 3rd. Still Rockin' was 6th. The 4th horse was a horse called Da Vinci, who of course is now running around in the Cups races. There you go.
And it meant a lot to Nathan on that occasion. I do know Georgia was strapping and they were wrapped just to get a winner on those big occasions. So that's actually what it was.
For the 2024-2025 stallion roster for Aldebaran Park, they are standing Dancing in the Dark M for $4,400 or $4,600 including GST for the New Zealand friends. Chilled Seaman for that horse there. Sky Valley $2,000 for Australian viewers only, and the Australian representative, of course, Champion Sire. And then for my New Zealand friends, the unique opportunity with Aldebaran Eagle being available only in New Zealand for the service fee of $3,450. He's doing an amazing job, heading it up by Rockin' with Attitude, plus also Gatesy's Gem. GST is payable on live foal. That is Frozen Seaman. Get in touch with the team at Aldebaran Park. Go to the website and all the details are there.
Rightio. The Dancing in the Dark M, new sponsor for Campbell's comments, in case you're wondering, Aldebaran Park, and I might throw an ad in right now. But what a win this was by Bet and Win. What a statement this race was, Matty. He really announced himself. I think a few of the Aussies still underestimate this horse, but this was a magic win by a horse I know that you've got a real soft spot for. I'll try and get it to about the 600, mate, but you can take the floor, my friend.
Yeah, look, I can talk on this on a number of different levels, but as someone who watches harness racing, I think if you were looking at it pre-race and going, well, he's the new kid on the block, he's taking on Muscle Mountain, who's a multiple Group 1 winner sitting outside him here at the 600 metre mark, loving the ports on his back. He is a Road Cup winner. Kai Valley Hotspur's done a fantastic job in its career. Mystic Max is a black type winner. Oscar Bonavina, who's just launching their 3 wide as last. You'd be happy to see him run top 4 or 5, but the manner in which he puts them to bed suggests to me that he is firmly inside the top 2 or 3 trotters in New Zealand at the moment. It probably doesn't look that convincing, Paul, but funnily enough, and it sounds, I really don't like hearing these things after the race because it sounds like a little bit of arrogance sometimes, but he'd been to the trials the week before where he trialled up with Don't Stop Dreaming, and he's got a removable hood on, and they didn't pull it until after the line in that trial. So when Bob pulled the hood at the top of the straight last Friday night, Bet and Win thought that his race was over and he went to pull up on him. Thought he was all done. So Bob had to click him up to get him back up on the bit, and you can sort of see within that last 100 metres that he's drawing away again. He's run a 55 half, sub 56, and done it pretty easy. He'll improve a lot off that, but he's going to have to, because what we saw on Saturday night from Just Believe suggests that if he comes over here in that kind of form, they're all running for second because we know he's super. I'd love to see Bet and Win sitting on Just Believe's back, turning home in a Dominion handicap. That would be an interesting wee sprint up the Addington straight. I'm not saying you beat him, but I reckon with his push-button speed, he'd make him close. Don't run off Muscle Mountain. That was a great run from him. He worked around mid-race. Ben got him going early, got up to parked. He's another one who will improve. The run of the race again, Oscar Bonavina. He is just ticking along beautifully for Mark Burton. And whether it's at Ashburton in a couple of weeks or Kaikoura, which I don't think would be likely for him, or the Dominion handicap, he's going to cut him loose. And the real Oscar's going to be right on show. He is just on this beautiful crescendo upwards towards the Dominion handicap, the way he's going. But really happy for Stacey and David. There's a little bit of pressure that comes with going from age group racing and stepping into the big time and not really knowing where you're gonna land. But they've got their Dominion ticket booked, and I know from all the owners and that we're absolutely stoked with it. And Bob was grinning from ear to ear, so everything's headed in the right direction. He'll go to Ashburton in a couple of weeks for the Trotters flying sprint there over 1,700 metres, and then straight into the Dominion after that, all going well.
I said the other night when I was interviewing Jess Tubbs, I called it the Harry and Kenny show, and Harness Racing New Zealand take it and run with it, because this is how these two horses are known as, and I think it's great. Totally agree with you. We got to put this in perspective, and Just Believe is a superstar. Olivici went awesome. It was a great field the other night, so he is a superstar. I'm not saying Bet and Win can beat him this year, but we need to start celebrating these horses so people can start following them. This horse was first up since the 6th of July. That in itself, that's good against the older horses and much more superior horses. But the reason he was first up since 6th of July, he actually had to be scratched because he had an injury, a foot abscess. But he was coming back from that. He'd had one trial. He's beat multiple Group 1 winning horses. Muscle Mountain was outstanding. Muscle Mountain would belt up these horses for fun if he had been able to find the fun at the front. But, Bob Butt's able to hold him out. Celebrate this horse. The industry needs to start following this horse, because this is a horse you can build for next year. Yeah, he possibly can't beat Just Believe this year. Everything going to plan for both horses, because Just Believe is some comparisons with Lyle Creek, and I think they're fair now. That people can compare them. If he wins the Dominion handicap, well, then that's a whole different argument. But geez, we've got to start celebrating this horse. I wear a Woodlands hat. I love Stacey. Having a relationship with Stacey through work. And that got to know David quite well. Throw all that aside. Our industry needs to celebrate these good horses. Let's not wait for them to be the pin-up horses. Let's let people follow the journey of a real up-and-coming horse that's got a real nice story behind it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's something that we don't do probably very well, is celebrate our stars and market them. I remember being a young kid and, the Blossom Ladies and the like of the time were my favourite horses, and I used to follow them religiously. And then I remember seeing Auckland Reactor and the way Mark Purdon used to walk him up the straight and let fans reach over the fence and pat him and things like that. And we kind of don't do it anymore. Everything's got too over the top in terms of health and safety, which is a real shame. I'm a bit like you, Paul. Like, obviously, Stacey's my sister, David's my brother-in-law, but an incredible training performance from them, given the problems they had over in Australia with him. And people probably don't realise just how bad that hoof was. And David, obviously being a farrier by trade, has worked the oracle in that sense, in terms of the flip-flops that he wore on Friday night to just give him a little bit of extra protection. David's actually been laid up with a bit of an injury for the last 2 or 3 weeks, so Stacey's done a lot of work, and my father Carl's done a lot of work, obviously, with the horse as well. So to have him go in and do that first up off the back of everything, including only having one trial, good testament to their abilities to have a horse ready to go to the races. And they've mapped this pretty carefully, how they want to attack the Dominion handicap, and he'll get there, touch wood, 100% by the time we get to that second Tuesday in November.
Quite funny, 12 months, isn't it? He missed out on a Derby run 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And then if I want to be real bad, like Stacey's just about ready to kill me now, I could also bring up Auckland, where the first time he went there the wrong way and he didn't handle it. You remember that night as well?
I do remember that night. I do, yeah.
But that's the serious part about this horse. He has been to the North Island and he has won, and he won dominant. He's been to Australia and he has won. Like, this horse is not, just in the South Island, and I no disrespect to South Island, he's just beaten South Island trotters. He's taken them on and he's announcing himself, so he can travel. He is marketable. I hate yellow colours, but I love them because they suit him. They just pop. You can see the horse on the track. He's just a great story. His name's Kenny. Let's start celebrating him. I think it's it's a great way. He as I said, everything fair and well. He doesn't beat Just Believe, but who cares? Celebrate the horse.
100%.
Yep.
I'd like to think that he might be able to beat Just Believe. That would be interesting. I think there's a bit of marketable fun there if someone wants to jump on it, because there is that really great relationship between Stacey and David and Greg and Jess as well, which stems back from Stacey winning a scholarship to go over to work with Jess at HRV.
Yep.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yep.
And they've been lifelong friends since then. And there's a little bit of an opportunity there if someone wants to jump on it to sort of play them off against each other, because I think they'll enjoy it a little bit. While at the end of the day, they'll be quite happy to sit down and have a meal and a drink together and that kind of thing. But there is an opportunity there if someone wants to jump on it.
Both ladies understand the marketability of our sport and what we have to do as well. So that makes it another tick for people to want to get involved in.
Woodland Stud have a fantastic stallion roster for the 2024-2025 season, headed up by the King, Bettor's Delight, down by the seaside, who just keeps producing quality horses on both sides of the ditch. Lather Up 2-year-olds are really starting to make an impression. Speeding Spurs standing for the value of $1,000. Sweet Lou fully booked out here in Australia, but still available for the New Zealanders. And What the Hell, the sire of Bet and Win, who won the Canterbury Park on the weekend and is now qualified for the Dominion Handicap. To get in touch with the team, visit woodlandstud.co.nz. That's woodlandstud.co.nz.
Rightio, Woodland Stud, Mares, Sprint Classic. You're not bad at picking them. You tell me a few horses that people need to be aware of. I love quoting you now because you're actually not a bad judge. I sort of thought you weren't bad. You weren't a bad
We've
bloke.
been doing this for 12 months and you finally only cottoned onto it, have you?
You weren't a bad bloke, but now you sort of know your form as well, which is going good. Firstly, Mantra Blue. We'll stick with Mantra Blue for the minute, mate, because she's just outstanding. But the second horse, the horse that you did highlight a little while ago, for some reason that hasn't wanted to play, but now it is playing. There's some real high-quality mares coming through and will be better for the year after, but it's exciting for New Zealand harness racing.
100%. We need good mares, and we've got good 3-year-old fillies and good mares coming through, and we've got 2 very, very good mares here in Mantra Blue, who's in the trail. It's Princess Meritate in the Christian Cullen colours, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago in front, Bobby Butt. This win was special for a number of reasons, and most importantly, it was a special win for Zachary Butcher. Based off the fact that earlier that week he lost his grandmother Colleen Butcher, who was the wife of John Butcher, Zachary and Benjamin's grandparents and David's parents. Colleen was the matriarch of the Butcher family, loved going to the races and watching her sons. And I say sons because there's obviously Philip in the mix as well, and then her grandsons, and we include the likes of Shane in that conversation as well. So they lost her during the week. So that one was pretty special, I think, for Zachary to win with his own horse. He trained a number of winners for Colleen. Zarias was the last of them, who was quite a nice horse. So, yeah, pretty special. But she just oozes class, I think, and she was the second best horse behind Millwood Nike in the age group in terms of raw ability. So it's no surprise to see her pick up that mantle and run with it. Princess Meritate will get better and better and better with racing and exposure to that kind of racing. And we're going to see a little bit more of that. Obviously, I talked about the fact there's a mares race at Ashburton on Magic Monday. Then there's a mares race on Show Day. So we'll get to see them sort of going head to head throughout those races as well. So looking forward to that. Good runs in behind Dance Till Dawn. Sweet Diamond was a bit better. So they are clearly the benchmark. And then you throw in Lady of the Light, who's up north and was trying to get her way into the New Zealand Trotting Cup. I don't know whether that'll eventuate now. So they're sort of the 3 at the top of the pile for me.
Yeah, that second horse has got, when it keeps more racing, gets more acclimatised. Like you run it's run 27.5 its first quarter, and the horse has come off its back and beat it. I mean, it's done an almighty job. So, yeah, it is a nice horse to keep following. Chase the Dream. This is a great race. This really when things started to hot up for the night. Strong, aggressive drive in this. I'll be interested in your thoughts. I might just go back a touch because I think you'll have a little bit more to cover off on it than that. But good aggressive drive by Blair Orange.
Yeah, and a wonderful training performance too from Mark and particularly Nathan. We haven't seen this horse for a while, but to come into a Group 1 fresh up and take on a really smart field. Big key moment in the race here. You can just see Cold Chisel locking wheels with Just Call Me Mickey there. He actually gets a flat tyre out of that, and that took Cold Chisel out of the race. The way Zach Butcher talked at the top of after the race suggested that Cold Chisel was absolutely trucking at that point, and it would have been interesting, but you can't take anything away from the winner. He's run home at 55.9. Good run from It's Tough. Blasted out of the gate to try and get across to the markers first and got there. And Hadron Collider and Olivia Thornley, who we're going to talk about a little bit more, but gee, she's got a record in big races, that girl. She gets on horses and just gets results. But Chase the Dream's only going to get better and better and better too. Interesting reading that a lack of suitable races for him now means that he may go into the slot race on Show Day fresh up.
Wow.
Without another run under his belt, because the only suitable races for him would see him taking on the cup horses, which they're not probably that quite prepared to do, especially given the fact that they are standing start races and he's not really been exposed to the standing start nature, and he missed away in a 5-horse trial 10 days ago. So, interesting situation for them, and a few of those 3-year-olds will find themselves in that boat as we build towards Cup Week.
Yeah, that is interesting. Hadron Collider, his manners have always been a bit of an issue. When he was with the Duns, he used to hang in. I just noticed when Olivia sort of went to go for that run, he decided to run up the track. When he finally grows in, he's going to do something, and people are going to go, where'd that come from? He's got the ability. He's just a little bit, just a little bit tricky, isn't he?
He's got push button speed. Very raw, fast speed. And you're right, he keeps drawing one or something like that in some of those big races, and he lobs the trip behind the right horse. He's got the speed to get them. There's some good runs in behind. I thought Marco was really good. Better Knuckle Up was huge. It had a wee gallop going down the back straight and cost itself a couple of lengths. Better Than Cash improving. Harrison John actually hit the line with a lot of venom. And keep an eye on Little Spike. he too was flying in that last couple of 100 metres. So I would just put a line through the performances of Cold Chisel. I'd also put a line through We Walk by Faith. He was getting a beautiful drag into the race on the back of Better Knuckle Up when it galloped, and he ended up having to race 4 wide without cover from the 700 metres. So when they're going 55.9 and you're 4 wide without a helmet to follow, it is incredibly hard. And I don't think Bob Butt really chased him up the straight. He knew that he'd had a horse that had given him 100%.
Yeah. You mentioned there before Olivia Thornley, Hayden Cullen as well, and the team, they're having a great run. But Wine Light, the daughter of Down by the Seaside, this was impressive up the straight. But there's a little bit more, I think, about this whole race, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. Some horses overperformed, some probably underperformed. But the winner was only ever going to come from one or two places at this point in time, and it was Lee Trail. Blair Orange, very confident drive on Without You after she was probably a little bit disappointing the week before, but good aggression early from Olivia to be able to get herself into that trailing spot. And from there, really, it was a case of just getting the gap at the right time, and this beautiful little filly did the rest. Continuing a good rise for Down by the Seaside, of course, who just keeps leaving winners. That Stella Rouge coming 3 wide, I thought she was just okay given the speed she'd shown the week before. Just thought she didn't find the lines. Mime Sandra D, who did it tough the whole race, was good. She stuck on well. Always Be Magic, sneaking up the inside in David Butcher's cap. And Orleans is a horse that will keep following. Once it gets a good draw, it'll win another race pretty quickly. But Hayden's doing a wonderful job. He's got a really nice team of horses with him at the moment too. And he's got good people around him as well. His wife Amanda's a huge part of the operation, but they've got obviously Olivia that they use as their stable driver, but they use Bob Butt, they use Blair Orange, they use Coxie, they use whoever is sort of they can get their hands on, but they're going to win a lot of races in the next 12 months, that stable. They've got some quality stock. And once they drop out of some of these age group features that they're all chasing at the moment into lower grade races, they're just going to win for fun.
Yeah, and we're going to highlight another horse in a minute on the weekend. Republican Party. This was an interesting race, and I'll be interested in your feedback on it. I just heard I hit the wrong button. Sorry, mate. A scribe suggest something. I'll be interested in your thoughts, though, firstly, on this race and a form line, if you like, for the New Zealand Trotting Cup.
Yeah, it was an improved performance from Republican Party. I actually thought he was very good the week before, and I think I might have said to you last week, Paul, that I thought he was quite a good chance of winning this race, and Carter gave him a beautiful trip, and he looped into the race really well. He's a little professional Republican Party, and maybe a little bit underrated over here in New Zealand compared to the likes of the Don't Stop Dreamings and the Merlins, but he's just going to keep getting better, and he's the sort of horse that if you can put him to sleep, say, 3 fence in a New Zealand Trotting Cup, he's going to go close, particularly given what's unfolded in the last week. Poor old Charlie Brown. If he's not... They released the next round of rankings for the New Zealand Trotting Cup tonight. We're filming this Tuesday lunchtime. If he's not in the top 15... something seriously wrong, because he technically now could have won 4 of the lead-ups if he'd had a bit more luck at the right time. So he's going really, really well. Don't Stop Dreaming, I thought, was excellent first up. Really, really good. He's got the all-round ability. We know that to win the New Zealand Trotting Cup. There's no doubt about that. Ultimeteor was good. He'll continue to progress. So, yeah, good race. Some disappointing runs probably in behind. We got some problems with Beach Ball. He missed away again. Mwanga missed away. Now
and Mwanga missed the first time as well, even though there was a false start. He actually missed the first time. He was never going to step. I know they'll say, the cord wrapped around his leg. Didn't matter. He was never going to step.
No, I don't think he was. Interested to get your thoughts. I watched the race and I thought Rock and Roll Do was disappointing. I've gone back and watched it another 2 times, and I'm actually not that disappointed with the run anymore. He's not a horse that can step off a wheel and run a 55-2 half.
He's
a bit more of a rolling type. You have a look at his run from where he was at the 400-metre mark, where he looked like he was labouring, to the last 100 metres, where he's actually sort of running through the line. He's doing his best work at the winning post, and I am going to have a chat with Crandell Kitty later on this afternoon for a story in race form about what he made of it, because he heads to Addington. So that's him third last. You can see Anthony Butt there. He looks like he's labouring, but if you actually look at his effort up the straight...
So he's actually last there. He's last there.
He hasn't lost a lot of ground on these horses in front of him. And he's actually... He's not a speed horse, and we probably knew that anyway, but he's actually getting through his work there better than what he was at the top of the straight. And when you consider that he's first up, he's had some problems.
Yep.
He'd had one, maybe two trials. He will improve. And if he continues to improve, well, he's probably got the toughness to actually foot it with some of these horses in the New Zealand Trotting Cup and put them to the sword. And for anyone who's got a good memory, put Anthony Butt on an all-out-and-out stayer in the New Zealand Trotting Cup, and you're in with a chance, because Flashing Red, those sort of horses, he knows how to win the race. I just thought, I'm not prepared to write off Rock and Roll Do from being a contender. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but from being a contender. I reckon he's a horse on the up, and we'll probably see him this week. He'll probably go to Ashburton for the Flying Stakes, and he'll be peaking in fitness levels by then, and they'll be able to drive him a bit more confidently, which will be interesting to see.
Well, you got horses like Dalton Shard. Technically, I want to ask you about him in a sec. And then the winners, ultimately, your high-class horses in front of him. So he's been beaten home by nice horses. He was first up. His trials were nothing special, so you'd imagine he will improve. And you are right. His best runs have never been off pace. His Gilmore Cup wins, day races, he goes around and he dominates. He generally sits outside the leader and he puts the pressure on the leaders, and the rest of the horses can't keep up. That's his best runs. So
did he win the Victoria Cup 12 months ago?
Yeah. Yeah, it goes okay, doesn't he?
Who did he beat?
Leap to Fame, did he? No. Did he? Yeah. Wow. Interesting comments. McGurran on a Sky Channel show over here suggested that Leap to Fame still should be coming to the New Zealand Cup, because he believes, even not at his prime best, he will win this New Zealand Cup. I thought that was fairly strong words. He said outside Don't Stop Dreaming and Merlin, he'll beat the rest of them. Not right. I thought that's a pretty strong comment.
Oh, I love Mick, because he's not afraid to say what he's thinking. He was quoted during the week saying that if you were prepared to back bet and win on Friday night at $2.60, you didn't deserve to have a cash flow card. That was his comments, because on the Leap to Fame situation, I'm of the belief that he would have to be 110%, and I think Wednesday's D-Day, for Kevin and Kay Seymour to even consider putting him on a plane and bringing him over here, considering he's missed out on his main key lead-up race. Yes, there are options available. He can go to the Cup Trial. Now, 10 years ago, the Cup Trial was a great lead-in to the Cup, because you get 10, 12 horses in there. They're all Cup contenders. Well, I think the last 2 years, it struggled to get 4 horses in it, and 2 of them haven't even been in the Cup. So you're not going to get the run you need through the Cup Trial unless you're in front and you're dictating it to your own terms. But they don't need to come this year if it means that the horse is going to be better protected. They're better off, and I read some stuff from, I think it was Adam Hamilton during the week, they can get them up to Robbie Morris's and get them settled in there and turn their attention to the Inter-Dominion, without having to put them on a plane and travel them to a completely different country. So I don't know if I could agree with Mick on that. Yes, he's a fantastic horse, but the New Zealand Trotting Cup requires you to be at 110%. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for a horse that's got an excuse. And you got to remember that the likes of Merlin and Don't Stop Dreaming are just going to get better and better too, and they are opportunist horses that if something's not quite right with Leap to Fame, they will be there to pounce. And then you've got to factor in the Jason Grimson team as well. Major Moth, good fifth, good enough fifth on Saturday night. I thought for him to become district attorney, I'm not so sure on, but ultimately there's only 3 people that can make that call, and that's Grant, Kevin and Kay, and they will do what is in the best interest of that horse, because that's what they've done from the first time he stepped on the racecourse. And if that means not coming to New Zealand this year, then that means not coming to New Zealand.
He did actually say there was a race for him on Saturday night at Menangle that he could step out in. I just noticed that. I just looked at the field and he's not in it. So I would say that means he won't be coming, but that's up to them. So, yeah. But anyway, it was just interesting comments. I just was sitting here getting ready and had the sky on and go from there. Right out, race 10. There's still 2 more races after this too. You guys must have been tired, because it was like you journos, there was so much to cover off on, so much to ride on. This is a horse we could call him over the ditch's own, because I think we've been his number 1 fan, but he's going to have a massive fan base in Marketplace. He's just the ultimate racehorse, mate, and he's got so much upside.
Oh, he had no right to win that race. Absolutely no right, given the pressure that he cops, the different style of race from what we're used to for him. But he was simply brilliant. That is got the chocolates up on the outside, having a good look at him in the eye. And I thought at this point, well, we're going to find out if this horse is as good as what we think he is. And
about here, it looks like he's in trouble, doesn't it?
Well, what unfolds in the next 400 metres or 350 metres from here suggests that he is every bit the good horse we thought he was, because he just clears away from them here and wins this with absolute ease, to be fair. He's
a serious horse. I do a thing with for the Harness Millions for the NZB team. Ribeira, the horse running second, Group 1 winner already, runs second in a Group Group 2 win. 180,000 in the bank, and this horse made him look, just a horse. Like, he's a serious horse going places.
Yep, he's the benchmark. It's a good crop behind him too. And if you go back and watch that race a couple of times, you find another horse that you put in your little book. Ribeira was good. Got the Chocolates was obviously very good because he attacked going down the back straight. Demon Blues run was very, very good. I thought Tactiva was very good. Sugar Ray Lincoln was potentially one of the runs of the race late. It made up a stack of ground. And Little 5 Crowns was a wee smoky that from barrier 9, Johnny Cox pulled back and took it to the fence, and it made up a stack of ground late. There's going to be plenty of form to come out of that, but the question is now, how do you beat Marketplace? Because they've tried to lead and beat him, and he's been too quick for them looping into it. They've tried to let him lead and soften him up, and he still ran away from them and hid. And I love this story of Regan Todd and Craig Ferguson, who were mates. They both work for the same guy down in Southland, and they've come real far in their harness racing stories. Obviously, Regan come through the Davey and Kath Butt School of Excellence onto Mark Jones, and we've seen Craig through Brendan McClellan, and then developing this team of horses that he's got of his own. But an incredible driver in his own right too, Craig. And I think that's often underestimated just how good he is on the sulky. And the world's his oyster at the moment, Marketplace, and capped off a very good night for the likes of Glennis and Phil Kennard, and also, of course, Mr. Peter Bacon, who, of course, all share in the ownership of Bet and Win as well. So they were pretty smiley when I ran into them after the last.
I catch up with Cam Bray, and it'll go up after this because they were the NZB Harness Millions. And we highlighted the horses. Interesting little thing. Last horse they syndicated, it was the last horse they were able to fill for the year. Hardest one they had to fill. Regan Todd's one of the owners in there. I'm sure Regan's happy that it was slow to fill because he was able to get the opportunity, and there'll be a lot of people kicking themselves because they would have been offered to share in him and didn't accept it.
Yeah, always the way, isn't it? It's always the one you turn down that ends up being the better one. So she's a fickle game sometimes, this racing came.
It's ridiculous. Rightio. What happened there? That didn't come up. Why is that good? Disappeared. Another horse, as I said, you're not a bad judge of a horse flesh. We've highlighted this horse for a couple of weeks. Mark Jones, I just got an internet issue we don't want to load. Rush, what a brilliant job this horse has done for everyone. And it's just a great little story. What was a $3,000 purchase on Gavel House?
Yeah, $3,300 about a month ago. It's won 5 races since then and about 40 grand. I think it's had 5 starts for Mark for 4 wins and a second. Obviously won the Fillies and Mares Classic at Methven last Sunday.
Yep.
And then steps out in a $26,000 race on a Premier Friday night and does this to them. He's done an incredible job with it, Mark, to be fair, given, everything that it had done to that point. And she goes down to Invercargill this week to take on the Dark Horse race down there. Given the form she's in, there's no reason why she couldn't win it. Mark did this, and I think we touched on this last week. He did it 12 months ago with a horse called Bella Button as well. And I don't think there's any actual rhyme nor reason to what he does, but I know he is very good with mares that have seasonal issues and tie-up issues. And I wonder whether that's the case, but she's trotting well. She looks good, and doesn't matter what she does now. She's paid back her purchase price 10 times and some. So owned by a couple of fellas, Ross McCutcheon and Paul Newton. Now, Ross owns a lot of horses around the country. He was originally with Brent White when Brent was training out at Smoker, and he's got horses with Ken Barron, he's got horses with Mark Jones, and Paul Newton's a name from Canterbury that's been around in the game a long time as well. So good to see.
And Sam, leading New Zealand female driver, she's just driving her with so much confidence. Hands up to whoever, 3 at the fence, and she says, "Oh, thank you very much. I'll just keep coming up the sprint lane." Like, everything is falling into line with this horse, but it is a great story that we've got to celebrate.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he was fortuitous, I suppose, on Friday night. He got the beautiful run up the inside, but the Methven win after doing work mid-race was phenomenal. So you couldn't write her off heading down to that group race at Invercargill on Sunday, because I always say there's nothing better than a trotter in form and keep backing them, because the confidence levels are up, and especially a mare, and she's doing a great job.
Yep, absolutely. And the driver's in form as well, and the stable's in form. Mark's having a pretty good run. The last ones, this is generally, I don't have to even show these ones, but I've given you the biggest rap ever that I think I've ever given you. Going forward, this was a horse that you said people need to follow. I might scroll it a bit forward. The gold helmet features again, but the Big Lebowski got the chockies done for Ray Green and Johnny Morrison in the sulky, and very, very good win. This is a horse with immense ability.
Huge amounts of talent, this horse. Beautiful, big, free-rolling pacer by Mach 3. I had the pleasure of actually travelling to and from the races with John on Friday night, so I got the full rundown on the Big Lebowski for the entire 50-minute journey back home. He was rapt, John was, because he was a little bit disappointed in the fact that he was actually offered the Cup Drive, but he already had commitments to, obviously, Franco Marek and Tack McLeod. He'd driven the horse down south for Merv and Meg when it was trained by Robin Swain before it went to Ray Green's property. And always had a lot of time for him, but he was very pleased to get a chance to sit back in the sulky behind him, and he really enjoyed what he felt through the reins too. He said he absolutely jogged that and did it very, very easily. And he's been away from the track for a long time. It was over 400 days, and I know there's been a lot of work done behind the scenes to get him back to the track, but he's trending upwards too. And he's the sort of staying type of horse that actually wouldn't be out of place in the New Zealand Trotting Cup. He will go to Ashburton probably, I would imagine, to the Flying Stakes. I think Nathan Williamson will be the driver for him from that point on. I think they may have engaged Nathan's services through the Cup Carnival. So keep an eye on him, because he is a bit of a smoky, and there is firm belief in the camp that he is able to be competitive in the New Zealand Trotting Cup.
And they know what they're doing, those guys. They might have won.
They do. They've had a little bit of luck.
Same connections not that long ago, so going from there. Wish Me Luck was good. Boris O'Kane, the runner of the race, for Back Me Next Start.
Yeah, he's getting better, Boris O'Kane. He used to be a rogue. He used to gallop at every chance he could get, but they've done a fantastic job with him. Got him off the unruly, and he's done everything right in the 2 starts that they have from there. Him and Jimmy James Maguire, they'll pick up a race at short notice. And yeah, Wish Me Luck was a nice tidy run, just beaten by a better horse, I think, on the night. He's run home in 55-2, the Big Lebowski, and done it pretty easy.
Rightio. I don't want to hold you much longer. You've got a game of bowls to get to. What for the rest of the day? We'll just leave a couple at Oamaru, but Southland or even Auckland, was there a lot to highlight out of any of those?
The Southern Trotting Oaks at Invercargill was a great race. Obviously, we had a bit of drama on the home bend when Empire City stumbled and cast a shoe and galloped when she was in front. I do understand that Ricky May said she was absolutely jogging at the time as well, but it created an opportunity for Princess Sadie and Fear and Faith to try and get it on, try and get the job done. And Princess Sadie was very good booting back up the inside of Fear and Faith, who I know is a very quick filly. So, look, I think they're two very, very nice 3-year-old fillies, those two that run first and second, and I think they'll keep getting better and better too. Fear and Faith's only had half a dozen starts, so I'd expect her to keep improving. Just put a line through the Empire City run. She pulled up fine. Everything seems to be back on track. So, forgive her that one. It just looked bad because it happened at the same time that Ricky went to pull the hood or the plugs, and she stumbled and cast a shoe. So, put a line through that one. She was very good. On Maroon on Sunday, I thought there was some good racing down there. Obviously talked about the work of Warren Stapleton with his magic leg paint that he creates from all sorts of different things. He imports some ingredients from China or something like that. And I'll put a wee disclaimer here. There's nothing illegal to it. It is totally above board leg paint. Warren's quite often blood tested and drug tested and the like. And it's just a nice natural remedy for horses with leg problems, and Wild Willow's definitely got leg problems, there's no doubt about that, but boy, he's got a good motor. That was only start number 6, I think, for him, and he's run past Dreams Are Free like he was a maiden at the top of the straight.
What was your thoughts on Dreams Are Free? Wanted to duck in?
I think he's just still building. I'm not prepared to drop him yet. He travelled to the 400 metre mark like a winner, like he was jumping through the bridle, but just didn't find anything when Wild Willow come up outside him. And little Lester, he was fantastic first up. He made up a stack of ground, and he'll be worth following, especially once he gets on those grass tracks, which we know he likes.
Nearly caught the drive unawares, I reckon. I think Johnny sort of thought, I'll run a nice third, and then the more he asked him, he kept coming. He was trying to the line, but I think he might have caught the driver a little bit unawares.
Yeah, well, Johnny's pretty laid back. We know that. Anymore, he'd be horizontal. But, he probably was surprised. But I think that was a combination, too, of Wild Willow was sort of coming to the end of it as well.
Yeah.
So that probably was where things got caught out. But he'll improve a ton off that, Lester, because he was first up for a long time. So keep an eye on him. He'll win a race. Life of Art was very good running fourth. And I thought one of the runs of the race was a horse called Woodbine Rocks, which is currently... Where's the goal?
No, different race. This is Lionel.
Excuse me. Lionel.
This is a great story as well.
Yeah, it is. 100 and something odd drives. Lionel Dobbs, who trains out of a little old place called Orari that you can actually say you've been to, Paul.
Yep. But I can't say the name of the place.
No, that's all right. Just call it Geraldine. That's what most people do who can't say Orari. His first driving win. He got his first training win earlier in the year, obviously with the same horse. I think it was driven by John Dunn on that occasion. So Lionel has a very good galloping team of horses as well. He trains gallopers as well as trotters and pacers. And really heartwarming moment on a Sunday to see him get his first win. Nice mare. She's done a good job, better than Diva, and she's tough. She'll just keep trucking.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was good to see. And I thought you were going to roll into it because you were on the roll. So I thought, I'm ready for you. And then as soon as you said that, I cut you short. There's one other race I do want to highlight out of the meet, just as a win, not necessarily a dead set highlight, but this win, this was a 2-year-old Hayden Cullen. We mentioned there before that he's having a terrific run. Bobby Butt's in the card, I think, on this occasion with a farsa. Is that how I say it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But you just got to watch a horse outside the leader in a minute. It's just phenomenal how this horse gets up and wins.
Arafura.
That's it.
The name of the horse. 2-year-old filly by Sweet Lou, of course.
Yep.
She might be Stonewall bred, is she? Woodland Stud bred. Yes, she is. Oh, the mare was Stonewall. Come on, Matthew. The mare was Woodland Stud bred, as was this one. She put that rough one, and she had no right to pick herself up and win, but she let down beautifully. Phenomenal job. And just again, to continue the conversation, another winner for Hayden Cullen and Bob Butt. What a weekend they had.
And he didn't give it away. He once the horse got pacing, but he didn't throw everything at it. He just balanced it. It's got a lot to learn because it was still a little bit wrong on the turn, but very, very exciting as well. And just definitely one of those races to watch and have a look at. Matty, we do go for a while, you and I. We're at 1 hour and 1 minute so far. fields going forward. What have we got to look forward to for this week? But I will let you go because I know you've got an important bowls game to get to.
Oh, yeah, it's just me and Tim White trying to win a championship, but that's all right. Good racing this week. Junior Drivers Championship. So the 12 best juniors in the country are competing. We're filming Tuesday afternoon. They start at Cambridge Tuesday night. They head to Addington, and then I think they're at Addington again on Friday to wrap that series up. So good young bunch of drivers there looking to claim the national crown. So that'll be a highlight. There's some good racing at Addington on Friday night. There's a nice 3-year-old race. I'm just trying to bring the nominations up, and HRNZ's been a bit funny on me. Oh, no, they must be about to release those fields because they've disappeared. So we'll see some nice horses going around in that one. The Delightful Lady Classic is what that race is called. Mark and Nathan Purden have Arden's Memory, Treacherous Baby, who was so good last time, and another very, very good horse called Moments Like These, or Moments Like This, who resumes from a spell. So that'll be interesting. There's a really good cut lead-up race as well, where we see Rock and Roll Do, etc. back in the mix. Good card there. Invercargill Sunday, they've got a good card down there, obviously with the focus on, as I scroll down to get the correct name, the Dark Horse Mares Handicap Trot at Group 3 level. Nathan has a mare in there. Of course, he trained Dark Horse. Hidden Talent is her name. She is a hidden talent, but we haven't seen it for a very long time, so we're looking to recover that. But what a deep field. Brass is very, very good. Galleon's Ambassador's in form. Emily's in form. Hidden Talent. Burning Love, She's a Gift, was a big winner at Oamaru on Sunday. Then you've got Rush, Euro Style, who was disappointing at Easton.
But forget it.
She could bounce back. And, of course, Araha Kenny, who won the Group 3 Jasmine's Gift at Oamaru in September. So that's going to be a cracking race. Looking forward to that one. That'll be the highlight of the harness racing weekend for me.
Matty, thank you. As I said, Ken Bray going to join me in a second from the NZB with the Harness Millions. Really do appreciate you giving me the time, mate, talking harness race. It's easy this time of year. It's a lot of fun, so I really do appreciate it. And then, as I said, follow the man on Twitter. You'll get all the latest updates, even a little bit of fun from time to time. He's not always serious. Something about some jersey. I thought you might have had that jersey on today, something about rugby or something along those lines.
Oh, the mighty Mid-Canterbury rugby team have won their way through to the provincial final. So that's my team. They beat a team from Timaru, South Canterbury, last weekend. South Canterbury hadn't lost a game for 4 years, so we decided we'd beat them in the semi-final. They had 39 winning streak, and we decided we'd beat them, wait for it, with a penalty in the 84th minute to get the job done. Got to celebrate those things when they happen, Paul. They don't happen very often. So, it's a busy time of the year. Looking forward to the week ahead and obviously the next month ahead because it's all pointing towards that second week in November and what's going to be a huge harness racing week. Are you coming over?
Not at the minute.
Can they hold Cup Week without you here or a major carnival anywhere in the world at the moment without you being there?
I don't know, but at the minute, no, I won't be over there. So waiting to hear, but right as we speak, no, I won't be over.
Oh, well, we better get a contract drawn up for Campbell's Comments New Zealand correspondent and see where we get to.
Brad Steele just spat out his cornflakes or whatever he's doing when he's watching this, but that's okay. It'll be fine. Mate, thank you.
Brad, my people will call your people, Brad. We'll sort that out.
Thank you. That was unsolicited. Didn't even need that. But, right at the minute, I think they've got enough. They believe they've got enough coming over, but that's okay. Mate, as always, appreciate it. We will catch up next week. We won't be as much involved with Addington, I hope, because it won't be as big a meeting as what the other night was. But I think we needed to highlight all of those races because they're game changer races for the next month, that's for sure. There's some massive runs. Anyone should go to, any of the Australian people, go to hrnz.co.nz. It is so simple to watch. You can click on Stride Master that Matty and I were talking about as well. It's such an important tool. As I said, you go and look at a horse like Warlock, you'd say, he had the race to be run and won, but his last 2 quarters were just phenomenal. His stride was the same. Everything was the same. He just couldn't pick up the leader. So make sure you do that. The trotters are next level as well with their strides. So, mate, really appreciate it. Go and beat. Will you beat Tim?
No, we're playing a game of peers together.
Oh.
Neither of us have actually played for about 3 years, and we haven't had a practice, and we're going straight into the club championship. So anything could be possible.
Right. Hopefully you get
All right.
one of the elbows going. Mate, thank you very much.
All right, mate. We'll talk next week.
Right, now catching up with NZB's manager, Cameron Bray, Standardbred manager, of course. Hello, Cameron.
G'day, Paul. Long time no see.
And it has been, but we will be ramping it up now because sales season's not far off. There's a whisper that the started cataloguing, I think, either this week or next week. You'll start working out the catalogues and going through there.
Yeah, today, being the 15th, is the last day of acceptances for the sale. So we've been through and looked at them all. We've sent them our decisions, and basically they have till today at 5 p.m. New Zealand time to say we want to carry on, and then tomorrow onwards we'll catalogue.
Yeah, which is it's when it gets exciting for the yearling sale people, and it can get a bit crazy for everyone else involved. So, but it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, and we look forward to it. 2 sales this year, one on the north, one on the south. I'll get you to do the dates because they've both just escaped me, which unfortunately happens with my the way I remember these things. But just something a little bit different for this year.
Yeah, well, we've had to have a bit of a change around, which, as we know, just with clashes of race meetings and a sale on the Sunday, we've elected to move the Auckland sale to the 15th, which is the Saturday. So we'll race the Harness Million 3-year-olds will be run on Friday night previous to that sale, which will be the 14th at Alexandra Park. We'll sell Auckland on the 15th, and then we sell in Christchurch on the 18th. So, which is a Tuesday, with Monday being a parade, an inspection day. So all the horses will be on the complex by 9 a.m. And available for inspection for the entirety of the day on the Monday.
On the Monday, so that is exciting, and it's going to be busy. It's going to be different, but I like different. I like new, so I think hopefully a lot of people will enjoy that. NZB, mate, continue to leave Group 1 winners. Of course, you had the Harness Millions at Addington on Friday night, just gone, and we're going to touch off on those, but we just might touch off on a couple of the Australian results. Just firstly, we'll start with the Oaks, the time-honoured Victorian Oaks, won by Coastal Bay, daughter of Down by the Seaside, but of course she is a NZB graduate, and I think you've got the figure there.
Yeah, no, so she was sold for 65,000 at the 22 sales, and she's now obviously the Victorian Oaks winner, but she's also won in the current season the 3-year-old for the Harness Million. So she's a filly who's carried her form right through the winter, and obviously still doing a job over there in Aussie.
Yeah, she is, and she's super impressive, and I'm not sure if she's staying over here for a little while or she's heading home. The horse getting into second, all 3 horses actually had an NZ after their name, but the horse getting into second is another NZB graduate in Kiss, and she done an awesome job as well, and it's good to see her still, franking that form in Group 1 company.
And she's another one of these great wheeling sale horses. So Kiss was originally purchased as a wheeling for 20,000, and then subsequently sold as a tried racehorse on Gavel House for 57,500. So it's good to see everyone getting a little bit of the money along the way, and the horse still doing a job.
Yeah, and that is also really cool. The Ben-Stoke Queen of the Pacific, the other Group 1 one of the 4 Group 1s on the night, and NZB and NZ, I suppose. Quinella the race as well with Recaro Rebel. Firstly, she was a graduate a few years ago, bit of a forgotten horse, but just doing an amazing job for Greg Sugars and Jess Tubbs.
Yeah, and they've turned that horse around a bit, haven't they? Like, it was probably a pretty modest sort of horse here in New Zealand before going over there, and look, it's done a really good job. So that particular horse was knocked down for 22,000 to a guy called Ronnie Dorr, who has all the Rakiro horses over here in New Zealand.
Yep, no, good result. And then Artist Express, this is a really cool story, and I think you're highlighting you don't have to spend a lot of money on a lot of these horses to get a massive result. Like just for the record, what'd you say, 22,000 for Rakiro Rebel, and now has 326,000, and that won't be its last win because it was pretty dominant winning on that occasion. But Artist Express, now this is the Gavel House, I suppose it's a subsidiary of NZB, and a platform that gets used a lot. It's a great little story how much someone can spend to acquire not just one nice horse, but 3.
Yeah, well, like it's a great story. This one, this particular family too, because Artie's Express was obviously purchased. It was inside the mare, I think, at the time. It was in utero. The mare was sold as a 3-in-1 package, so it was the mare herself with a foal at foot and in foal. And I'm almost certain that Artie's Express was the in foal portion of that 3-in-1 package, paid 47,500. So there you go. And also being a sister to the Good Horse, the Good Mare running around there in Sydney at the moment, all from the same family, which I think it was either sold during COVID or just after it.
Yep. I reckon I'll correct you, Cam. I think Artie's Express was the foal at foot because it's the oldest. And then you've got Artie Flash and Artie B Mickey are the 3 horses. But 463,000 for Artie's Express, 170 for Artie's Flash, and 182,000. This is their win money for these 3 horses. And what did you say they cost?
47,500, including the mare.
Smart investment. Very, very smart investment.
Yeah, so he's made some pretty astute purchases, and he's done particularly well out of that family. A Canadian guy called Mike Tanner owns all those. So good on him, because I think it was his first foray into the standardbreds in this part of the world when he bought pretty much that whole family, well, that strain of that family. And it's good to see it all sort of working out for him.
A little bit of a forgotten horse, because I think he's been over here in Australia for a long time, but the NZ moniker was after 2nd, 3rd and 4th chasing home the superstar of Just Believe. But Olivici was an enormous return to form, Cam. But he is another NZB sales graduate. He was a horse that was sold, would have nearly been the same year as Riciro Rebel, I think, actually, which is...
Quite possibly. I think it might have even been the first year NZB took the sales on here, to be honest, because Chris Lang himself came over and selected them out, paid 51,000 for the horse, by Orlando Vici out of a good mare and Bell Galleon, a good family. So he bought that out of the Christchurch sale, and he's been a horse who was a very good juvenile. Probably just went a bit flat there for a while, but certainly looks like he's back to a bit of. It looks like it's back to a bit of form now, particularly on Saturday night.
Yeah, no, Chris Lang always had a very, very high opinion of the horse, and he's back to form, and it was a daring drive. 288,000 now for he, and you're right, Cam. He was the first year. Riciro Rebel was the second year. There's 1 year difference between those two horses. So, doing great things. They're not the only winners, but they were the ones I just wanted to highlight from a fabulous race card in Victoria on the weekend. The NZB Standardbred Harness Millions were conducted at Addington on Friday night, mate. Firstly, from an NZB point of view, great night of racing. They've really, what Harness Racing New Zealand are doing over there, they've complemented your meet races with what is just a huge, huge meeting. Yeah, and it's probably, we've now seen it's taken a couple of years for the whole birth date change. Obviously, we're a couple years younger than you in this whole process here in New Zealand, and I think we've seen it on one other occasion. But like for the 3-year-old colts, there was something like 25 nominations for the 2-year-old colts and geldings, and out of that field of 25, I think we had a field size or maximum field size of 13. There was 14 individual race winning 2-year-olds in the colts. So that's really good from a company perspective, because we are getting the very best of the horses in those races. We're really lucky and thankful that Harness Racing New Zealand and Addington saw a bit of wisdom and a bit of mail coming through that there could be overprescribed. So they chucked on an extra 2-year-old race, which was race 1 of the day. So I think they got what they get in that first race of the night. They get 8 or 10 in that as well. Yeah, so everyone who wanted to race that night got a start, which was really good. And the fillies was a capacity field, which is another really good sign for the birthday going forward, and for the series. And the trotters, I think, with a field of 9 or 10, which I think is still very good for trotters as 2-year-olds. Still pretty early on in their career, and it was all great racing. The whole night was great. The 3-year-olds, they'd been oversubscribed too, the 3-year-olds. So it just had a real
it had that real cup vibe about it, you know, with the good racing, the good horses are all out and about.
Cam, I've got the 2-year-old trotters on screen right now. Ken Bracken, great supporter, and has been of NZB for a long time. Great seller, prolific seller. He quinelled the race, but yeah, right, Dale coming in third. All these are size graduates, but very exciting. Sometimes when you have a close finish, you can say, "Oh, there's not, no standout there." These 3 horses meant to be higher power, and yet, yeah, right, Dale. Serious trotters, trotting out some serious speed, and great little finish, wasn't it?
It was a great finish, and isn't it amazing? We've now seen in recent years, particularly, the emergence of Barry Purdon, who probably isn't been a notable trotting trainer. I think he's gone back to back 2-year-old harness millions to trotters, and they're having a great success. It was a new syndicate, and that's what it's all about. They were over the moon. I think one bloke was walking around still clutching the trophy at bloody 10 o'clock at night. He wouldn't let it go. So that's what you want to see, people enjoying it. So they're putting their money up and they're getting a wee bit of a return, which is great.
Yep, that is exactly right, and you're spot on. That's what we want people to be able to enjoy, if you like. The nights, I wasn't there. I'm tipping the 2-year-old fillies. Olivia Thornley is always very bubbly and always very happy when she wins a race. Winelight on this occasion gets up through the inside, a daughter down by the seaside. But again, another really exciting filly. High-class horses. These horses are not just going to be winning these sales graduate races, if you like, Cam. They're going to be going on to a lot bigger and better things.
Well, again, even for the 2-year-old fillies, there was something like 6 or 9 individual winners out of those. So like this, we're talking for 2-year-old racing when we haven't seen a lot of group racing to date, and in this country we've had some 2-year-old racing, but not a great deal of it. It's great to see these fields are full of good quality racing, good quality fillies. That again, another one down by the seaside from a lovely couple here locally, bred that horse who always put 2 or 3 in the sale, or 1 or 2 in the sale every year. So it's great for them as breeders to share the spoils there too.
And great for the owners. Pick up their just 12,000 shy of 100,000 already with a 2-year-old filly. I mean, that's just enormous stake money, if you like, for there. And then the 2-year-old Colts and Gelbies. Now, this horse is a serious horse. We say, I said there before, these are sales horses. The second horses, they're probably the first 5 home in this are going to be horses that are going to be racing in mostly good 2-year-old races, and they will be aiming at 3-year-old races as well. But Marketplace, he's something special, Cam. I don't know if you saw him the week before. He come from last.
Yeah.
This week he done all the work up front. Had no peace. Johnny Dunn was happy to give him some stick here around the turn, and actually looked like he had him under pressure. And but he's a serious racehorse. He shrugs that off and just races away. Ribera is an up-and-coming horse from the Mark and Nathan Purdon's camp, but well done to Regan Todd and Craig Ferguson. This is a lovely horse with high speed. He's tough. He has a little bit of an X factor. It's exciting to see.
Well, and he a bit like when you watch the replay there, once he gets balanced up in a straight line, he certainly did make some meters, and he did the Thursday night previous. Look, he came from behind the other Thursday night. He was wide. He got half knocked over. He was green as grass coming around the turn. And then when he got lined up, he just ate the meters up. And this bloke, he's done the same again on Friday night. He's dictated terms. And when he's got balanced up and straightened up, he was able to pull away from them. So, look, he is a serious horse. It's great for the breeders and the owners. It's great for the owners. I think the fair percentage of the ownership group quinelled the race with Ribera as well, who's already a Group 1 winner, I think he is. Or he's certainly a group winner, because I think he won the Kindergarten Stakes or the Diamond Creek, one of those ones further south. So he's a good horse. So yeah, it's really good to see this horse Marketplace is something pretty special, and a particularly interesting story. He was bred by one of New Zealand's premier race callers, and George Simon is in the ownership group of breeding this horse. So along with Tony Barron and a couple of others. So it's good. It's what we like to see. It was a great field, and to be fair, he won pretty well in the end.
There's a there's a fair Queen Elida feel to that one too, isn't there? With Butch McKenzie and a couple others. Spot on, Cameron. Well, you're right on both accounts, mate. With Ribera, it is a Group 2 and a Group 1 winner, so it's one both. Yeah,
one both.
And another graduate. And again, highlighting and we want to make sure people are aware of how much prize money these horses have won. 160,000 already for Ribera from 8 starts. So the horses are there. Sometimes you might think you're paying a bit more for them, but what they can win, and especially with these HRNZ millions races, you can really make some serious money. I was just looking at their marketplace at the same time, 180,000. So the first two home in that race have already passed 180,000 in stakes as 2-year-olds.
And I think Phil Kennard said he paid 100,000 for marketplace. And ironically, and those that will know Phil and Glennis and the operation they run, they buy quite a number of yearlings and syndicate them. And they said this was the last horse to fill up, and they actually battle a wee bit to get him full. So they've taken a bigger share in him than what they normally would. I think Regan's got a share in the horse, and they've introduced a couple of new fellas to the horse. So it's one of those great stories, isn't it? That 9 times out of 10, it's not the first horse to fill up, but he's done the job, and he's got some big targets ahead of him. And I will say, from a racing purist, look out for that size stakes final on Cup Day for these 2-year-old colts, because it's going to be one hell of a field.
Yeah, no, definitely. That is a full wrap. Cam, thank you. NZB, there'll be plenty more coming out. We're going to do a lot more coverage coming forward for the yearling sales. I'll be getting out and about. We've got a few things planned, flying over a couple of times towards the end of the year and also the start of the next year to get the message out there. But we want to keep highlighting all these NZB Standardbred graduates, not geldings. We do the geldings as well, I suppose, but definitely to the graduates. And thank you very much for joining me, mate. And as I said, we'll be continuing to ramp it up right through to the stud season, sales season.
Good on you, mate. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Cam.
No worries, mate.